Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl, Miss Mouthy, and I'm so happy if you're tuning in today to the Miss Mouthy Podcast, right? This podcast is all about trans and non binary folks of color, narratives and experiences, and the allies that love and support us. I actually have to get used to that opening now, Jamie, because I switched it up and broadened it up a lot. So now it's been like a tongue twister for me, but I'm excited to call this episode calling in. One thing I think about is in our community since the last episode we're talking about domestic violence, we're noticing a really high rate of suicide when it comes to our community and people suffering from depression, anxiety, and all these different things. And so I have a special guest today that I'm so honored that he could come on from his platform, Outspoken. We have Mr. Outspoken himself, Nigel Ashford. So thank you for being here. Hey, how are you?
Hey Raquel, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So
Awesome. Can I
yeah,
just say first?
yes, of course.
I first of all, congratulations with
Thank
this
you.
Miss Mouthy podcast.
Thank
I've been
you.
seeing you. You've been very the thing about it is consistency, and
Okay.
you've been consistent.
I've been
And
trying.
it and it's not easy. It's not
Yes.
easy when you're balancing work, personal life, side projects, part-time jobs, like whatever you got going on, but you're staying consistent. I'm proud of you, first of all. And also, I just remember when we spoke and you were thinking about doing it.
Hmm.
And now you put a vision into action. And that's what it's all about. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, like during the pandemic, like I was just suffering real heavy from depression.
Hmm.
I had a lot of shit I wanted to say and get off my chest, but I didn't have a platform for it, or I got in my own head and made myself believe that
Right.
nobody would care about what I had to say, right?
Right.
Um, and then you think about like yeah, being a trans woman, I was like, I don't know if I want to like keep out myself on every episode or highlight like my community in that way. But I also didn't like what media was portraying when it comes
Right.
to
And
LGBT
if you
folks.
don't, who will? That's
Yeah.
that's what you always have to say.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, if you have to be the first, if you have to
Right.
be the pioneer, go ahead and do it.
Go ahead.
Yes. So this you brought up a really good point. I've been loving your confessionals that you've been doing lately about
Thank you.
um on your platform, and I think it's a real great scope of just being honest and vulnerable and transparent about what it is that I feel like a lot of us feel, but
Yeah.
we're too afraid to say, right? And
Right.
specifically, you were talking about the one about like just calling into the community. And so I really was like, that is so important.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, like we can see all these people, like you were saying. Well, I'm gonna let you explain it. Explain your confessions.
So the reason why I started doing confessions, I attended this thing called TV Boot Camp, which was a week long class of how to market yourself, how to become comfortable on platforms. And one of the homework assignments they wanted us to do after the program was over is start doing more lives and start getting comfortable. So I come from a TV news reporter background. So
I
I'm
learned that one of my like people was just like, "Oh my god, how did you get him?" And I was just like, "How's he a big deal?" Oh, okay, period. And so when they said that, I was like, "That's kind of different because that's not what I really know him for." But
Right,
okay,
right. It's a switch, you know. And with the TV, you just see a camera, and then you just see your production, and that's it. So now in doing outspoken, it's the same thing, but with the lives, that's like unplanned,
yeah,
unresearched, and it really gets me out of my comfort zone. So for 2022, I said I really want to do something to get me out of my comfort zone
I am
and
on.
also to be vulnerable.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, what about confessions? And then one thing I'm afraid of is people knowing my business and
yeah,
people knowing my insecurities and
yeah,
people knowing things that I might feel personally. But I said to myself, if it might help one person or if it might make one person feel like I understand them,
yeah,
then do it. So I started doing these daily confessions where either speak something that's on my mind or how I felt. and it's really, really raw, and it's really, really. I have to do a little prayer and be like, God, and I'll be like, okay,
Okay.
go live. Yeah.
Not even being funny, and that's the really important thing because I do like mouthy moments where I talk about moments like that where it's like whatever's on my heart, and sometimes I'll make one daily, but I won't even post it because it's that raw and that like vulnerable for me. But I really relate to a lot of the things that you were saying, especially when like in our community, you kind of like if somebody knows something about you, like the one thing people always use against me is my child. Like no matter what, in a
Yeah.
moment of disagreement, whenever somebody don't like me, that's their first like ace card, and it just be
Right.
like, "Well, bitch, you burned the bridge, and we
And
can't we
and
can't come
you
back from
hope
that."
that we don't get into a whole fight.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. Okay. And anybody who know me, they're like, "Okay, Miss Mouthy is out of her character today." Um, but no, specifically about the one confession that you did, you were definitely talking about community and suicide.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. So recently, a young man by the name of Corey recently committed suicide in Atlanta, Georgia. I did not know him, but for some reason, in seeing his face through the story,
Hmm.
I almost cried because I'm saying this is being a little bit too consistent.
Yeah.
We're seeing too many African Americans kill themselves. And why? And we are really going through a time. I always say this generational Z is coming up. And I feel like they're so consumed with their phones. And even millennials, we're the same. We're so consumed with our phones. We're so consumed with clout. We're so consumed
Mm.
on reality TV show or look at me, look how much money I have. Getting that, like we're so consumed with ourselves that
Yeah.
sometimes we forget to check on one another. I think one thing that our ancestors did a good job in is really investing within the community and going and checking on one another.
Yeah.
My grandparents and great grandparents knew all their neighbors, knew everybody in the church.
That's
And
true.
if something went on, let's lay hands. If
Hmm.
something went on, let's all go over there and bring some food and talk it out. But we don't care. And in being vulnerable, early this January, I had a huge, like almost suicidal attempt myself.
Yes.
And it was very hard, but it took the talks of two people in my life. And I was like, wow, like I almost wasn't here because of that. And also, another occurrence took place back in 2017 when I was doing TV reporting, and they told me, one, we just don't think you have the look for a host.
Mm.
If you want to go into hosting, we think you need to get out of media. So I got out of media, and my bills started falling behind. Car got repossessed.
Oh,
Bills was backing up, and I was like,
I
dang,
was
man.
testing you. Yeah, God was testing.
Yeah, it was test. And I also let the words of somebody who I thought was like my boss, make me, when you hear somebody who's been 20 years in the game tell you that you don't have it and
Yeah.
you're a mid 20-year-old, like you think that's it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I went to school for this and all of that. And I'm over, especially when you're a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, till this day, one of my best friends called and said, she kept calling. And I was like, I'm not going to answer because it was the day that I was going to do it. And she kept calling and calling and calling and calling. And I answered. I was like, I might as well just say a goodbye in a
Right.
way to somebody. And she just said, God told me to call you and not to stop calling.
Yeah.
And I burst out into tears because I was like, I have a purpose here.
Mhm.
God doesn't want me to leave here. I'm meant to do something. The devil is trying to take me out, and he can, and God interceded. But if it wasn't for that phone call that a friend of mine cared,
Yeah.
what if somebody would have stepped in for that young man? What if somebody
Yes.
would have called and said, hey, brother, are you okay? And one thing that a lot of comments were saying, he was always happy. He was always the joy of the party. And those are the people that you really have to also say, how are you? Because we think they're so
Yeah.
strong. We think that everything in their life is okay. But in reality, they're still going through the same shit or worse than you, but they're just know how to put on a good face.
Yeah, that is so one, like Amora said, we are glad that you still is with us. We're glad that your friend had been there. But there's several things that I'm gonna unpack with you because you said a lot of things that resonate with me. One, when it comes to that 20-year-old veteran in media, they
Mm-hmm.
seen your light, they seen your strength, they seen your ability to come and produce something that in their 20 years they wasn't able to do. So of
Right.
course you gotta throw a monkey in somebody's wrench. It's no different than when like people I always say like never shrink yourself in a room full of giants.
Hey,
Like
man.
there has been times where I done been around other women that do the work that I do or do the field that I do, or even like being in media. Like that shit is intimidating. I'd be
It
like,
is.
ain't nobody listening to my shit. Nobody
Right.
cares what I do or why am I keep doing this? But it
Imposter syndrome.
yeah, it makes me feel good. Like every time I'm on Mouthy, every time I produce some content, I'm like, I don't give a fuck if nothing but 3 people listen to it. This make me feel good. You know what I mean? Like this is what
Exactly.
I feel like my gift is. And also like God was breaking you down for a test. It's so many
Mm-hmm.
times that I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna give up, or like even now, like people don't even know. Like I skipped last week because I was going through court. This custody battle be kicking my ass,
Right.
and like yeah, I got a better grip on my triggers and depression, but it's also still when things are out of your control, it brings on like a flood, right, of things. And
Yeah.
you just be like, okay, and when you constantly there for people you're there and you're always giving, giving, giving. And then when you kind of home alone, now all these thoughts is surrounding you and you're like, well, who gonna check up on me? And
Right.
where's these people at that like I've been helping? And like,
Right.
I don't know, but I'm so glad that you're here because like your platform was one of the things that like made me believe that I could do this. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
yeah. And I'm so thankful. Like, let me give y'all a mouthy moment. So um, Nigel had reached out to me a while back, and I think you may have seen my story, that story that I wish I could erase.
Yes. Was this the before the Mother's Day one?
Well, I think it was for the Mother's Day one.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so and that in and of itself too was a whole honor. But he had reached out to me and then I was like, okay, let's see what it gives. But just being recognized as a trans woman and being a mom in a Mother's Day edition of somebody's platform
With
was really
other
a
different types of moms.
yes,
Yeah.
it had really like made me feel affirmed. It had made me seen, and it takes some of that shame and guilt away from being a transparent away, and I felt like celebrated. So I always
Yes.
wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you got me smiling over here.
Of
Thank you
course,
so much.
of course. And I've been watching like sometimes I think we can watch through social media where
Hmm.
people are in their like mental health journey or in their
Hmm.
spiritual journey. Because I didn't know you all that well, but I also know when I seen the shift, like once you moved, baby, it was a whole new you that had
Yeah.
transformed. And like
Yeah.
when you're posting and stuff now, it's just like I see you work out, I see you eating good, and it's just like, oh, he is really taking care of himself. What
Yeah.
really brought on that change?
Um, Honestly, going back to that breaking, early January was like one of the hardest times in my life. And I'm not even gonna lie, it was like very, very hard. Um, and I just really had to get when I got closer to God,
Yes, say that.
and I will say, we all say we're Christian,
Okay.
and we all say like, da 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 da. But I will say honestly, when I devoted time, had meditation periods, reading my Bible, like for real, like spending 30 minutes to an hour investing in my spiritual life is something in me. And I won't lie, it feel like, and I always say the Holy Spirit filled the hole that I was trying to fill with earthly things.
Oh, I love that. I love
and and I feel like that's how we are in this world. I feel like there's so many people, especially our young 20s, 10s, early 30s, some people in their 40s, are out here trying to feel something with sex, money, jobs,
Yes.
like, and even when they achieve those things,
It's
they're just
different.
feel, yeah, they feel empty. Like after that moment, or that like a good 30 minutes has passed and that good high of achieving something, they're just like, damn, I still feel a little something still
It's just
missing. And this is the most I've ever had. And I told a friend the other day, I've never had such peace in my life.
yeah.
This is the most time I'm making the least money I've ever made. And when certain opportunities that were promised have been pushed back, and I was like, God damn. And
Yeah.
I just start diving into my Bible, praying, and I don't understand what it was, but God just really spoke to me, and I just started healing myself. I also started journaling, writing down some of my traumas, like some
Mhm.
of the reasons why I'm the way I am, some of the reasons why I did things I've done, some of the things that we're trying to stop, negative cycles.
Right.
And I will say, if we don't spend that time with ourselves, and well, let me go back. I feel like I was too afraid to do this because I was maybe might not like something
Right.
about me. And I feel like a lot of people, we make sure that we stay distracted,
Yeah.
whether it's let me go to the club, even though it's a Tuesday, let me have a drink, let me get high, let me focus on this. But we don't spend those times with ourselves trying to divulge all the things of all the clutter. It's like if you have a junk closet, but you keep
Okay.
throwing shit in there, and
And
then
then
you're just like, and then you
close
go and
it
open it,
too,
right? And
and
you're
all
like,
the shit fall
oh,
out.
right. And let me not deal with it. Let me just,
But I know my good sweater that I wanna wear today is in there somewhere.
right.
Uh, so I know you talk a lot, about being religious and spiritual, and you had a segment where you kinda, like, really highlighted that. Are you still doing that by
I
chance?
want to pick it back up. Something keeps telling me in my mind. Something really keeps pulling it, and I'm gonna use you as my confirmation.
Okay, period. Because I
And
am. God be sending me messages to hurt some people.
but I really want to keep doing it. The hard part was finding people who wanted to do it. And then I think I used that stumbling block. And I'm going to always say when I won't say wrong, but when I stopped or when I gave up, when people were saying no, 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 and hearing too many no's, I was like, okay, maybe I'm not going to do this anymore and let me focus on something.
Oh,
But isn't that how the enemy works, or isn't
yeah.
that how a test works? When we hear too many no's, sometimes we get, ooh, we our momentum lowers, even though we have some amazing episodes, it lowers. So I'm gonna, and since you said that, I'm gonna do one Sunday. I'm gonna
Yes,
make a
because
promise to myself and do one Sunday.
let me tell you, I wanted to quit. Like, I always wanna quit, like, every time today, I wanted to quit, I'm not gonna lie to you. I had some shit happen to me yesterday that kinda, like, took an emotional toll on me, and I was like, but I allowed myself
Nuh-uh.
uh, I allowed myself one day to feel it and then get up. So I got up, I went to the gym, I went and
Amen.
got a massage, um, I came back, got ready, um, because one thing I read, nobody's gonna be your hero. Like, you might have to
Exactly.
be your own hero.
Yes.
So I was
Yes.
like, "Shit, if I don't keep going with Mouthy and, like, highlighting trans and non-binary people narratives and experiences, who else gonna do that?" Because I'm still waiting for us to get a reality show, and they're not giving it to us. They wanna give it to people who may dress and emulate us, but they ain't they ain't put us on the network
What
yet.
about Tia's medicine? Doesn't she have her own show?
Do she?
She does. She
Okay,
has
is
her
it
own
on the major
reality
network?
show. No,
Okay.
it's on I think WeTV. Her in New York.
I see, nah, it ain't gotta be a and. You get what I'm
Well,
saying?
well,
Like
it's not and New York. New York is just in there as like her best friend. New York is actually the side character.
no,
And
and I also feel like New York is drawing that in, but
right.
we why this is my thing. Why is it only one? Like, I feel like when it comes to trans people, they are only allowing us to be just one, the
Right.
first, the only.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's so much more of that we can be. And I just want love stories for trans women. I want reality shows for trans women because we also multifaceted, and I don't
Yeah.
want them to keep thinking that T.S. Madison and Sydney Starr and Laverne Cox and all them women is just the
And that's
staple for.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's diversity.
Yeah, you guys need your own
And we
dating
need.
shows. You need like so many apply. And when you create those things, that means they're gonna be coming to you, Miss Mouthy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because I'm gonna have a production company, and I'm gonna put people in positions to be able to create that content. So,
Amen.
um, yeah, so that way we don't have to worry about outsourcing the networks and hearing no's and things of that nature.
Can
So
I
when
do
we
a challenge for you then?
Yes,
Since you
of
just
course.
said that.
Yes.
So I'm doing this thing
I love my
called
challenge.
so, so I'm doing a thing called 300 the 300 list.
Okay,
I did a post today. I
I
watched a
did watch
video.
it.
I did a post today, and Steve Harvey was talking about the 300 list, something that he does, his famous friends does, his successful friends, his rich friends, and all of them did it, and it worked for them. You write down a list of 300 things that you want to do, and it can range from, and you want to come into fruition. But when you do it, you say, I am already doing it.
Mhm.
So let's say you write, I have custody of my child.
Yes,
I saved over $100,000 for my child's scholarship fund.
period.
Like you write all these things, or I started my production company. These are the television shows that, and you list the television shows. So I'm on, I think, number 117.
Because I was gonna ask you, I was wondering, I was like, I wonder how far he got. Mm,
100, 100, it took a while, but
but
that's
that's
the
pretty good.
thing. It's really good, but you want to become more creative, and to the point where when you're believing, and he said this is only for Christians. He even said that in his audience. If you're not a Christian, this ain't gonna work for you.
Yeah,
He
period.
said you have to believe. Oh, I'm sorry. You
No,
have to
you're fine.
believe that God is really gonna do these things.
Mhm.
Like I am gonna create TV shows. I was putting Netflix. My contracts are gonna be over $100,000 for five. I was just
And I
like
want that for you.
very descriptive. So that's what I'm saying. I want to challenge you. Write your 300 things down, and then you have to read them every morning and every night of each day. Even if you don't get to that 300, get what you can and do it morning and night.
Yeah.
And then you got to also add on to it as time goes by. And he was like, and look at your list next year and see how many things you got crossed.
Yeah, but that's even like now. Like I wouldn't have never imagined when I told myself I wanted to do a podcast that
Mm-hmm.
one, I started on my phone. I would just like have my phone, had Anchor, and was just like, okay, this whatever. But then I had to teach myself editing. I had to
Yeah.
learn how to like make like treatment plans, and I had to learn how to like get interview questions and like what guests do I want and why
Right.
is each topic is important. And then now to be in season 2, I'm like, oh, okay.
It's like clockwork.
Yeah, it manifests itself. It like takes itself on and evolve. And so with community, because
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really I don't get oftentimes well, yes I do, but in shady ways. But to have um a male a part of our community,
Okay.
what are some challenges or barriers have you noticed or experienced that kind of comes up for you with being a gay black male?
As a gay black male or as a black male? Because
Um,
there's those are two battles, but
well,
I can say both.
yeah, period. Let's just dive into it.
I think one of the things, as I'll start off, as a gay black male, I think one of the challenges, and it's my own insecurities, going to certain places where it's nothing but black men, and they're giving this huge hyper masculine alpha male energy.
Mm.
Part of me is automatically on guard. Like when we go into barbershops, when we go to the gym, when we go to like all these different places, my guard is already up. I'm already like, if somebody says something,
Yeah, I'm going the
like
fuck off.
I need to be ready to show them I'm not a punk.
Mhm.
But then I had to really I had to ask God to soften my spirit, because I think I was in the chair one day and this guy was in there, And my barber just asked him a very sensitive question. It's like, man, how's everything going on with you and your wife and kids? He was like, man, it's really hard. And to see this like straight man who looked like he can whoop your ass
Right.
just like break down. And I'm like, oh. And it calms me down to see that this is a man who's being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I just, it just made me want to look at a lot of people differently. And it just showed that they are human beings going through things. But the reason why they can't express themselves is because society is telling them, the black man who grew up back in what, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, you have to be hard. You
Mhm.
have to be strong. You can't show emotion because the world is going to tear you down. And if they see weakness, like that's it. So to see,
And no, not being funny, no, that is the hardest dating profile, is trying to date a man who's not in tune with his emotions. I promise.
it's a struggle. It's a struggle. But I will say that's a hard one. And I think another hard one is the how oof, is dealing with white gay men.
Mhm.
Dealing with white gay men. One, I've been approached by a lot of white gay men. And when they bring up things of, I had a guy who say, you know, oh, I'll prefer UPS over FedEx any day. And I was like, UPS over FedEx, UPS over FedEx. And he was
Because it's
like,
brown?
the FedEx is the white box and the UPS is the brown box.
Yeah, I
And
figured.
and I was like, and you know, I was like, I wouldn't have thought something so ignorant would have came out. So my mind didn't go there. So I was just like, God dang. And then when I heard of, we was on this online forum when I was in Nashville, and this black lesbian woman said, hey, is it anywhere where black lesbian women come together? And this one guy was like, why does it have to be black lesbian women coming together? We have a diverse crowd. And then I said, where? And I responded, I don't know what came over me. I said, where?
Yeah.
I was like, he was like, you know, I see African American people. I was like, do you mean on which night? He said on Tuesday nights. I said, oh, hip hop night. I
Yeah.
was like, yes, because on Friday and Saturdays they don't play rap music, hip hop music, or R&B. They play the pop or the electro, like when people bang in their heads,
Mhm.
because they know their audience. But you have a different night designated for certain music. So let's say if we took out the terms and the names of these music and
Mhm.
say black night and we say white night because we know who which audience is going where. This goes all the way back to your 1940s, 19 early 1950s of you have your whites and you have your colors. So you guys just went ahead and just changed the names of the nights and put rap, you know, rap music or hip hop night. So things haven't changed. There's still certain type of discriminations. There's still certain type of racisms. And one thing about Caucasian gay men and lesbian women and trans white women and trans white men, or them days he she's, like they
Go
can
ahead, get me banned. Go ahead.
they can use their whiteness at any
That's
time.
true. That's true.
No, and I want people to remember, guys, back in the 50s, in the 40s, they had gentlemen clubs. And I interviewed this author. He did a whole segment about racism and discrimination within the gay community in the 40s and 50s. They had these things called gentlemen's clubs, which were gay clubs, but they were, the name just changed. You just knew it was a gay club.
Yes.
And they had whites only in their sign. So at the end of the day, these men still like men, but they were still racist as fuck.
Yeah.
So we have to really still think. And so that as a black gay man, and seeing that there's still discrimination, even with Stonewall, and how it was led by two transgendered women of
Yeah.
color,
Yes.
but white men were saying, we do not want you the head of our coalition. We want us to be the head of our
Yeah.
coalition. So I think that's the hardest thing as a black gay man, and things that I face is dealing with people of our own culture who are straight men, and also dealing with other people who are of Caucasian race within our LGBTQ community.
Can I go back? Because I something clicked in my mind about when you talked about presentation when it comes into media, because definitely being like a curvier girl, a dark skinned girl, real true to being like wanting to be as Afrocentric as I can
Hmm.
and like to the culture. What was it, do you think, that they were imagining for your image when it comes to what you needed to look like to be a host?
He said, and I quote, that, most hosts are very beautiful women.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, so I got my gender
Mind you, you
against me.
dripping sauce though. You dripping sauce. You can bring them in.
Well, back
Here.
then, I did not think that. Back then, but this took years of me in the mirror saying, "Hey,
Right.
I love you." It took years of me in therapy. Like, you can ask my friends. Like, I still think like it's all about a mind thing. Like,
Yeah.
even when I walk past a mirror or something, I'm with some friends, and they'll be like, "No, you're not fat." Like, because they already know I'm getting ready. You think I'm fat?
Yeah.
Like, and I'll be like turned in each angle, but when I started taking pictures with my shirt off, like that's when, and that was another challenge. Let me get used to like showing my body and being proud of my body.
Because
And
everybody want to shame you for it.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I hated parts like my chest. They used to be saggy men, boobs. So like I was so afraid to take off my shirt until people were like, "Oh my god, I love your nipples. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I love your chest."
Not
And
being
I was
funny. I look forward to your post. Like whether it's the outfit, the scenery, the body. I say you about to come through
yes.
dripping sauce. Period.
I'm
And I guess I'm on the
trying.
opposite. Like, yes, I know my body go through all these different changes. We're getting
Hmm.
older. And like, I never wanted titties. I never wanted titties. I never wanted titties. Like, I always knew girls who was just like, "I can't wait to get some titties." They just knew that was fishy. I just wanted to have a pretty face,
That's
okay? I
fishy.
just wanted to be pretty and get through. That's it. No
The
more,
cute
no less.
girl.
And then, one day I just woke up and it was like womp womp womp. And so like everybody like, did you get a boob job? What happened? And I was just like, nah, it's just genetics. Like I don't know what to say or what to do. But then I had to learn to embrace my body, regardless to whether I'm like 10 pounds overweight or my ideal weight. If something don't work right or look right, I just simply take that shit off and put something else on. Like,
So I have a question.
yes, of
So
course.
when you like, let's say you wear a good push-up bra or you
Mhm.
wear like a really tight dress, does it hurt that you're? It's
No, no,
like.
'cause they so I don't know if it's 'cause it's natural, but I really 'cause my girls who probably just got bags, I know it's gonna hurt, right? Like, you gotta be careful what bra you put on and all those things.
Right.
Um, but no, nothing, it's no different than having, like, a big booty and putting on some tight jeans, like, it just works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's not
works.
okay. I get that. I get that. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I always like, people be wanting me now to, like, model for their brands and, like, yeah, and be the
Eh,
spokesperson, and I'm just kinda like, "Well, no," because what I see in social media don't look like me, and I'm just like,
girl,
"Nah."
get those checks.
Yeah, now it's about to check all the time. Yeah, you got some bedazzle for this fupa, like, we gonna figure it out, I don't care. Um, but I also want people, especially, like, trans women, Black trans women, to honor their bodies more, and I don't
Yeah.
mean, like, who you give it to, because we are grown, but I
Yeah.
mean in a way that, like, really love your scars, love your stretch marks, love those
Yeah.
things that, like, people didn't that's how Mouthy came up. The logo of my lips, people talk about my lips so much
I'm
that it
not gonna
used to
lie,
make
I thought
me
it was something else.
Hey! And it used to make me so insecure, but I had to own that, right? Like, you have to embrace those negative things and make them work for you. So now
Right.
I'm like, "Yep, my lip line is coming out soon." I'm getting through Kylie Jenner, "What's up?"
Hey. Hey, let me know
Um,
if you need somebody to help you design. I
yeah,
got you.
yeah, okay, Imma hold you, y'all hear that now. Y'all hear he
I
said it.
got you.
Imma
I
hold you
got
to it.
you.
Yes.
But you, like they say, if you don't ask,
You right. Closed mouths don't get fed.
amen. So
But
just
yes,
let
I
me know.
definitely wanna have you back. I definitely wanna collaborate with you in any way possible. But tell me about your transition to your new place that you moved to. How you liking it?
I'm liking it, but I've been going through seclusion. And with
Okay,
seclusion, no going out, no like I've been like no going out. I've been really focused.
okay.
Like I said to myself, if we're gonna for things to happen, for transitions to happen, for moves to happen, that means something in me has to change.
Yeah.
So that means my prayer life needs to change. That means my workout life needs to change. That means how I do business and all these things needs to change. So since doing all of this, I'm getting ready to start a new project. We're still looking for some candidates called by LGBTQ. So
Okay.
it's gonna be like a QVC model where Instagram introduced a new program where when you're live and let's say you sent me your lip balm
Right.
and I'm on here and I'm saying Miss Mouthy's lip balm, I then can attach this link where people can automatically buy the product.
Ah,
It goes into their Instacart and they don't have to get off the live,
period.
and it just like boom, 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 sell, 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 sell. So we're trying to get 3 to 4 entrepreneurs who sell products to come on, and they're going to send me their products, and then we're going to go live trying to get those products sell and trying to get them a new group of buyers, and so people can know about their company. That's the thing. I don't know about a lot of LGBTQ products or
Yeah.
LGBTQ owned. So like I'm doing that. Also, my children's book is now in illustration.
Ah,
We
yay.
we it was a long time coming. We everything is written. Now the illustrator is now working on it. So my children's book, and I'm so proud of it, is going to be the first children's book that incorporates the stories of gays, lesbians, trans, and non-binary parents of color.
Yes.
So like so each one is gonna be a bunch of stories. It's 3 different stories. The first story is of 2 dads for Father's Day. The second story of 2 moms taking their children to the park, and the third one is the trans Latinx mother who's taking her children to the zoo with her husband, who is a non-binary Indian man. So
Okay.
each one is gonna be like
I
different
love that.
stories, and the reason behind it was we I feel like our community is selfish. Gays, they focus on gays. Lesbians, they focus on lesbians.
Yeah.
Trans, they have to focus on themselves because nobody else is
Else to
focusing on
focus on
them.
them. Yeah.
So I was like, how can I incorporate all the stories and where whoever is in the audience, whoever is a parent under the LGBTQ community, can not only just see themselves and read those stories of the parents teaching their kids, but let's say if it's a gay parent, they can tell their kid, look, there's a trans parent too, there's a
Yes.
lesbian parent too, and we all are under this community, and we all are one thing. We might be different, but at the end of the day, we all love our kids, and we're all
I'm
just doing these normal things with our children.
I'm excited to read that. And like, do you got a title yet or that's still under wraps?
That's under wraps. Everything is under
Okay.
wraps.
All right. I had to push for it.
But I will see if you can be one. So for we're gonna do a huge digital launch on June 1st, and so
Okay.
June 1st is gonna be our is LGBTQ Day. It's the first day of Pride, well,
Yeah.
National Pride Day, and we want to get 100 people to post on their feed and story on our books. We're getting ready to like really hit the launch going, and we're going to also do a Pride tour where we're going to go to different prides June, July, August, and September to set up shop, talk about the books, try to sell the books, and also go live in each Pride.
Yes.
And then I have a good network of TV news people who are anchors around the US. So I hit them up. They said, just let me know. So we're going to be doing news interviews. So we're trying to hit marketing really, really hard.
That makes me really excited. And of course, I'll be one of those people there
Yes.
sharing your book on, letting them know. Yeah, I gotta come and get this. So that makes me really excited for you.
Thank you
Oh,
so much. Thank you.
yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been
Okay.
that's
So, I like to do this thing of one, I'm gonna be sending you some entrepreneurs because one thing I always like to highlight black business, LGBT business. So um I like to do this thing where we give advice, like pearls of
okay.
wisdom to the
Okay.
listener. And so since we're talking about community, what either pearls of wisdom do you have for the community, or what's one thing you would love to see from the community?
I think one thing that I would love to see for the community is to be a community. I really, like I said before, especially towards our trans people, like the trans people, I feel like you guys get the harshest
Yeah.
criticism, the harshest slack. And I was just telling my friend the other day, I was like, do you know black, well, not just black, trans women of color, period, are the highest rated women who are being killed and murdered
Mhm, mhm.
under the LGBTQ umbrella. But where is Black Lives Matter saying anything about that? I
Yeah,
said, where are the gays and the lesbians showing their signs about that? We're quick to say something when a gay kid commits, I'm sorry, when a gay kid commits suicide
mhm,
or if a gay kid gets beat up or all that. But trans women, that has been their lives for years. And that's one thing I will say Poes have taught. This has been going on since the 70s, 80s, earlier than that. And a lot of their jobs that they couldn't have was like, selling their bodies because a lot of people couldn't hire them. They
yeah,
were put in this bad predicament. So I think our community really needs to step up. I understand if you don't believe in it, then don't believe in it, but still respect these people and their struggle.
yeah. Cause you
And
don't even know this, but, like, sorry to cut you off, there was a young lady who ended up in my last episode, I talked about domestic violence, and that's only because a young lady here from Detroit was murdered by one of her partners, and,
right,
like, it was horrible. He literally killed her, drug her out in the hallway, and, like, threw her body underneath the stairs, and it was just horrible, and so, like, even though he has a history of being violent to the girls, there was no justice for all of these victims prior to her. So, like, when I think about no different than when you said about the young man, when I think about this young lady, I think about her death being avoidable, you know? Like,
yeah,
if somebody could have stepped in, if somebody would have spoken up the last time he had struck with an act of violence towards a trans woman, she probably would have still been here today. And
yeah,
so, like, even all the women who did survive his act of violence, I commend them for being survivors and being able to put their lives back together again because
yeah,
we, as trans women, too, we normalize violence. We normalize the mistreatment from men that we enamor with, that we freaking with, fall in love with, and it's horrible.
and trans women, trans men, just like anybody, deserves love and respect. And
Yeah,
that's what any human being is looking for.
that's true.
So, and also that bill that just got passed with the no LGBTQ talk in the school, that's another conversation.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that
which
was
we
just
gotta have.
crazy.
Um, and let's be clear, there's already been no LGBT talk in schools since I've been going to school. But like the reality is, had they showed me visibility of self, had they taught me lessons of story of like confidence and being true to who I am, I
Hmm.
probably would have turned out. I would have been up there with the Laverne Cox and the Jetta Moxons
Right,
there, but baby, I would have preschool off running, you know?
right, 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 right.
But yeah, it's horrible. And the thing that I always come back to is that it's this new fad with trans people, right? Like y'all
And
love
you're
us
not a
or
fad. You are a
yeah,
whole life. Like you are, this is your life. It's not a game. It's not a
yeah. It's a
season.
whole like
It's a whole
everybody
life.
wanna jump on the trans train now and everybody wants to like have some because they know what it comes with. Like one, it's a great conversation piece, is attention grabbing for the people who still haven't experienced stressness. But it's also like y'all don't want to acknowledge that a lot of y'all are attracted to our bodies and y'all
Yeah,
are attracted to the feminine aspect or the masculine aspect of us.
yeah.
And
What's
yeah,
that black actor who came out that said he liked trans women? The bald guy, dark skin, in
I
his
don't know, but let me know so I can get in his DMs.
damn.
What's his name?
It wasn't Lawrence. Was it Lawrence?
This is the one
No.
they talking about date Sydney Star
E-
from Family Matters.
yeah. Oh no, no, not him. It was
Okay.
this guy. He used to play on a lot of older 1990s, early two. I think he was on The Best Man.
Oh,
Bald guy.
Omar Epps.
I think so.
Oh,
So
let me not misquote somebody, and they
I
go like,
think
"Miss
he.
Monty said himself."
Let me look, because now it's gonna kill. I'm one of those people who are like, I have to know.
Yeah, but also one thing about
Oh no.
what I feel is, I really feel like it's important to see that in on the red carpet, right? To see that
Yeah.
in Hollywood, and like you can say you're attracted to trans women, but are you showing up for those trans women? Are you letting people
Right.
see and know
No, they'll fuck you. That's it. But they ain't
that's
gonna say
it?
they've been with you.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
about it. That's about it. And that's a damn shame.
We got somebody else waiting. Okay, yes. This is so I wanted to open the lines up because I want to start bringing people in so they can
Okay.
drop their um, points of wisdom about what they feel like the community needs
Okay.
or something that they experience in the community. And so we have another guest called him.
Will we
Oh,
see?
I'm on.
Yeah, hey him.
Hey, him.
All right.
It's
What up? So,
him.
um,
Him. You don't have to have your, the sexy phone call voice. You can just do
Okay,
your regular voice, him.
this
period.
this just how I talk. But
Oh,
no,
okay.
I wanted to weigh in on like when I joined. Some you were saying everybody deserves love. I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody ain't for everybody, but at the end of the day, it's somebody for somebody. You know. So
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't judge. You know what I'm saying? I love everybody. I enjoy y'all show. Actually, I did want to say that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So him, tell us a little bit about yourself if you would like to share.
Um, I mean, I have my fair share of experiences, but you know,
Have you had a
it
hard time in our community?
actually no. I mean, I empathize and sympathize with those who have, but I haven't. Luckily, um, I missed the story I was talking about with the transgender girl, but I have been hearing a lot about the mistreatment and stuff like that. I personally don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of them are very beautiful, honestly. So
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure on the behalf of a lot of trans women. We glad that you just said that, okay?
yeah,
Um,
but that's all I wanted to say though. For real.
well, thank you him for
Thank you,
tuning in and
him.
signing off. But yeah, that is a feature I'm gonna start doing is inviting the listeners on to be able to like weigh in. So yeah, thank you him for coming and just stay watching and supporting. I appreciate you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Oh, that is so
Yeah, I think it's important because
cool.
lately, like, people have been tuning in and supporting me, and I'm just like, okay, like,
Miss
so
Matthew, you
even
better find out who him is, though. I mean,
okay, because even when like I like want to give up, that's the reason why I can't give up because
yeah,
people be like, you didn't put out Mouthy this week, and I'm just like, yeah, can I go through shit? Can I have a sabbatical? Like,
right, right. That's facts,
but
girl.
tell the people how they can find you and keep up with you.
You can find me on Instagram, the Outspoken Man. You can find my Facebook page for Outspoken on Outspoken LGBTQ.
Tell them
We
about Outspoken. What is Outspoken?
Okay,
I'm a person
so
who never know.
out, so Outspoken. I really wanted to create a platform where it was about the LGBTQ community, where I interview people talking about real life topics. I'm tired of people talking about, oh, who's dating who or who's
Yeah,
with who or this reality TV show. And I was like, there is too much going on in the community for this to happen.
yeah.
So I just wanted to reach out to some people, and people kept saying yes, and it kept taking off, and I was like, oh my god, this is a whole thing.
That's true.
So I've really been loving it. I took a break. We're gonna start back in April. It's gonna be our season 3.
Yay!
Yes, I'm really excited. One of those things I would love to talk about is abuse within relationships. So if you have anybody who would be good to talk to, please send them my way.
I
I would
definitely
love to have an episode for that.
definitely. Yeah, and so please support him. I think he is amazing.
Thank
I
you.
love you because even sometimes you just pop up in my head, and
Oh,
I'll find myself messaging you like, "Hey, how are you? What's going on?"
thank you.
Um,
Thank you,
Yeah, because I felt
y'all.
like, yeah, definitely the connection with being on your show was real. And then the fact that like most people after we like have a business transaction, they don't follow up or we
They
don't
like,
stay in contact.
yeah, thank you, inducers. No, I'm from the
Yeah.
South. We do things differently here.
Yeah. Um, And so I would just leave you guys with checking in, like calling in, right? Like we oftentimes always screaming out accountability and what that looks like for our community. But hell, we know that substance abuse is real in our community. We
hmm
understand survival sex work happen. We understand that colorism is a real problem, that
hmm
body shaming and all those other things that come with our community. I think we have to start acknowledging the bad and the hurt to be able to
hmm
start setting a foundation to be able to heal and have these difficult conversations. And it don't
Amen.
always have to be about calling somebody out or canceling culture, but it do look like calling them in and saying, "Hey, I know I may have said something that hurt you, but I have to work on myself too. But in this moment moving forward, let me try and be a lot softer, a lot
hmm
kinder in you, and just check on you and just see how your mental health is because especially
Yes,
with
yes.
people of color, we still battling speaking about mental health openly and honestly. So with that being said, I just want to call folks in to be able to love on each other
hmm
in realistic expectations, right? Like I'm not
hmm
saying go out here and just be loving on everybody and you ain't filling your own cup back up. But do want don't be selfish either. It's at least one person
Amen.
you don't talk to that you know could use a friend. Or if you see some shit, if you see some whack ass shit, somebody bullying somebody, somebody making fun of somebody, you know, go make that person feel special. That's so funny. I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story before I let y'all go. Last weekend, me and my girl had went out. After we left the bar, I went to the Coney Island. It's kind of my thing. I gotta get my drunk food to sober up, and plus, I be wanting them to get into my fit because I be looking good. Um, but it was a man that was less fortunate. His name, I can't remember his name. Fuck. Um, but let's say his name was Dante. So Dante came up to me. No, his name was Damien. That's how I remember because I thought about Friday. But anyhow, his name was his name was Damien. And he came up to me while I was trying to get in Coney Island. He was talking to me. He opened the door for me. We went inside the Coney Island. Um, and so we talking. People can't understand why this put together woman is like talking to this less fortunate person. He got a shovel with his bag. You kind of know he's struggling with some mental health challenges. So I'm talking to him regular and I say, Damien, so mind you, he's like, Damien, no. And so everybody now looking in the Coney Island, like looking at me like, is he calling her Damien? And then I'm like, for me, it was like raising my anxiety, like, you smoking my tea. Like, calm down. But he was putting himself back in check about something not to do. He was like, no, Damien, don't do that. But this is Raquel. So then everybody in the thing was like, da da da. So I'm like, did you eat, Damien? And he like, no. And I was like, you want something to eat? He was like, yeah, you gonna give me something? And I was like, yeah, whatever you want. He was like, I want some sliders. So I was like, okay, can we get a slider meal? Blah, blah, blah. While I'm ordering our food, I've noticed that one of the guys must think he's bothering me or asking me for food. So he put him out. Um, so I'm waiting for the food, da 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 da. Some young guys come in, they talking about Damien outside, and one like, yeah, I'm gonna just blow his shit out, right? So I'm like,
Wait, blow his shit. What does that mean?
oh, hit him, like hit him, just
What?
yeah. So the one guy, it was the one guy that was by the front of the like where you order, and he was like, no, just leave him alone. You know, he clearly don't got it all, but you know, whatever, whatever. So Damien beating on the glass at this point because the Coney Island backed up and it's taking a long time for our food to come. He say, Raquel, you ain't forget about my food, did you? So I'm like, no, mind you, I'm not even one of those people who like a lot of attention on me. So like,
Your anxiety went up.
yeah,
You were like,
yeah, because you
ah,
got everybody looking at
I
me talking
feel
about like,
you.
yeah. So I'm
I
like, ah,
feel
baby.
you.
I'm like, yeah, I'm still waiting here. If you don't see me here no more, then you know I didn't took the food. So our food finally come up. I go out there with Damien. So the boy who said he was gonna blow his shit out end up coming up to us while I'm trying to get Damien food out the bag. So he like, what's that shit you was talking? And Damien, like, I don't he clicked into his gears real quick. He was like, I don't want no problems. I don't want no problems. So I'm like, Damien, it's not about to be no problem. So I'm like, sir, now mind you, I'm just trying to like play with my puss at this moment.
Okay,
Like, okay. So I'm
girl.
like, sir, you got an issue with my cousin or something? And he was like, oh no, baby girl, like Damien, my guy, do. And I'm just like, no, but you did say you was gonna blow his shit out. But
Raquel, what was you wearing that night?
I had on that tan dress,
Because he
that I
had baby girl. He was like his whole tone changed. I was
yeah.
like, what kind of dress you had on that
Yeah,
night?
I had on my tan little sweater dress that I had recently post. Um, so I think it was a thigh tattoo. But I'm just saying that I'm gonna cut the story short. What I'm saying is, if you know that you could change somebody's reality or make
Hmm.
somebody's life better simply by letting somebody know this ain't what we about to do, I get that the world go by him and not acknowledge him and don't see him for being human. But in my face, in my presence, I know what the fuck that feels like, and you're not about to
Yeah,
disrespect him, and you're not gonna put your hands on him. So I
yeah,
was like, I would hate to have to fight this man in this dress, but baby, it's gonna be what it's gonna be because you're not about to just hit this man. Um, but yeah, y'all be kinder to each other. And so
amen.
this is your girl, Miss Mouthy. And even when you what? Don't see me, you hear me. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.